Well, Leroy, I would like to begin the interview by thanking you for joining me this evening. Here at here's at Aaron's Opinion. Um, my first question to you, Leroy, is in fact, I kind of have heard of your name before, but I don't really know much about you. So, if you could please start by telling our audience, so who are you? Who is Leroy Phillips? Go right ahead.
Well, Leroy Phillips is just a rather simple but fashionable when I get ready in my own ways. A young person from the only English-speaking country in the South American continent called Guyana. Now, persons often get confused with Guyana with Ghana, located in Africa. So Guyana is, pardon?
Right, right. It's not Guyana, it's not Ghana, it's Guyana.
Guyana.
Guyana, yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like the word GUI for Guy, Anna.
Guyana, yes.
Right. So I'm does that person living this side of the world, sandwiched between Brazil, Suriname, which is a Dutch speaking country, and Venezuela. We're wedged right between those three countries. I'm a disability advocate here, though. One of the leading disability advocates here in Guyana, among a few others. We're now trying to grow that network of advocates here in Guyana so that the disability movement could be further amplified or further enhanced or further improved. But yeah, I play I played different roles in society, not only as an advocate, but I'm also involved in sport. I'm also within broadcasting. I'm a radio announcer slash producer.
I'll get to that in a minute. So, just to let you know, I was born blind with glaucoma. So, would you like to share um, how you became blind, by the way?
Great question, Aaron. So at the age of 6, I acquired my blindness. I live with my paternal grandmother, and I lived with that side of the family predominantly, basically, all my life. And at the age of 6, while in primary school, I had to leave school because I wasn't participating well. So the teacher thought, oh, he's just being a stubborn student. Get out of here and go home and tell your mom or grandmother why I sent you home. And I realized when I went into the compound that midday, 12 noon, the sun was extremely hot and I wasn't able to see properly. So I struggled, spun on my feet, running around, looking for where the exit is to go home. And my aunt, because all of us came from the same household and we all attended the same school, which is what 12 corners or 12 blocks away. So we walked to school and walked back home daily, 5 days a week. So when my aunt saw that I looked lost in the middle of the compound, she came to my rescue. She's like, "What's going on, Leroy?" I said, "Oh, I'm not seeing where the exit is." She too wasn't observant of what could possibly be the cause of that. She directed me to where the exit was. I think I had a little vision left because I walked in the hot sun and I went home. But upon reaching home, I remember my grandmother was sitting opposite the bottom part of the stairway, and she was giving me something like a popsicle or an icicle, and that's the moment when it slipped out of my hand and went onto the ground. So when it went onto the ground, I went down on my knees and I put both hands on the ground, but the right hand, because I'm a right-hander, sweeping in a sweeping motion with palms down. And my grandma's like, "Leroy, why are you doing that?" I'm like, her call name is Oi. So I was like, "Oi, I can't see where the icicle gone." And she's like, "What do you mean you can't see?" And I can't recall what else happened after then. I just told her I can't see and I wasn't able to see. So I got up and I can't even remember. She picked the icicle up for me, but I don't know if I got a blackout or what, but I really can't remember what happened that day onward. But that's how it went though. I lost my sight at 6, and then my grandmother so loved me much. She took me to many, many, many doctors in the country, visiting from Cuba, Indian doctors visiting, American doctors visiting, all kinds of things. And they all had their own, opinion on what might have caused my, sudden loss of sight. One terrible doctor said, I'm HIV positive. I find that to be terrible. And I know you guys listening to this in developed countries like America, United Kingdom, and Canada, and Australia, and these places will say, oh, he would have been sued. You would have been a rich fella, Leroy. You could have gotten millions of dollars, but things don't happen like that in Guyana. Guyana needs constitutional reform for things like that to happen. So we couldn't do anything. We weren't the type of the academic type, the family, to pursue such measure to deal with the doctor. But of course, we did numerous tests to see if what he's saying is accurate. And not only did I do the test, my father, my mother, my grandmother, them, all these people did the test to see if what this doctor is saying is true. I remember this happened at a time when HIV/AIDS was rather rampant in the world. So this doctor just ran with this and said, "Oh, he's HIV positive," but that totally isn't the case, because even now that I'm an adult, I've done numerous tests still, even though I've been sexually active, and still nothing of the sort that was told to me in 1996. So yeah, we did lots of tests, and other than that crazy doctor saying I'm HIV positive, all the other doctors said this is a mystery. We can't tell what has caused this young man to lose his sight just like that, suddenly, at such a tender age. And that's been it. We've moved on since.
Okay, so let's move on since. So after high school, what did you do? And then try to segue this answer, as we say in radio, try to segue this into your interest in radio, broadcasting, podcasting, and what you do today in the broadcasting field. Go right ahead.
So, just to fast track it, or just give a little background quickly, my schooling never went well, so I didn't get to learn as most students. I didn't get lots of my proper school materials in Braille or JAWS, electronically, to read with JAWS and so forth, to study and be on par with all the other students. So I spent at least 12, 13, 14 years wasting time, picking up little knowledge that wasn't required of me, but I've developed since. So yeah, fast track to now. Back in 2011, I think it was early 2011, one of my friends, Ganesh, he is older than I am, but he's one of the leading advocates here in the country as well. I received a call from a Peace Corps volunteer who, is always on missions here in Guyana, asked by a prominent broadcaster to invite a disabled person or a person with a disability to participate in a broadcasting training program that would last for a few months. And Ganesh, said he's not sure who to put, but the best person he could think at this moment is you, Leroy. Because when they called him, they asked for him to nominate somebody who's young, energetic, full of ideas, passionate about the media, and all these things, creative and so forth. And he thought I was the best person. And since that day, I've not looked back since. I've attended all the sessions. I remember the session starting with over 150 non-disabled persons, excluding myself. And within 2 years, that number dropped significantly, or to use a better word, that number dropped from 150 to about 3 dramatically over a 1.5 year period. And the bottom line of the story, that I am the last man standing of all that persons or participants that started the program. So I undergo the training for about 4 months or so, receive a rather small stipend that I was very much appreciative for. And then I grew from that day onward, and they eventually confirmed me as a staff, and I've been fully employed and treated equally like everybody else in the company at the National Communications Network, NCN.
Excellent. Perfect. That is the type of network that I want to learn more about, because that's really, really, really important for us blind people to be actively participating and actively employed in the journalism field. I think it's really important because blind people like you and me and so many others have all sorts of interesting stories and talents that we can definitely contribute to radio and podcasting and broadcasting. So specifically, what is your job in NCN? What are your responsibilities?
So my responsibilities as an announcer, producer, is basically to produce and host programs, be it live or pre-recorded. Thankfully, in my case, and no thanks in some instances, I do most of my programs pre-recorded. And I love it that way because it gives me the opportunity to spend just enough time doing advocacy, which I am very passionate about. If I was tied to doing a live shift, it would have, interfered with the amount of advocacy work I did and my university career as well. So I was able to study, I was able to do university, do my work here at the National Communications Network, and maintain my role as a disability advocate in the country and traveling as well on vacation and on official duties for disability related matters. So I was able to do quite a lot at the same time while studying and working all these different things. So I'm very thankful for that. So I produce a number of programs focusing on persons with disabilities. The main one is called Reach Out and Touch. It's a weekly half-hour program on the Voice of Guyana every Sunday at 11 a.m. sharp. Yes, at 11 a.m. sharp, and it's rebroadcast every Tuesday at 1500 hours 30. So the country gets to listen to it twice. Most of my other programs too are music related because my manager in radio back then realized I had a passion for music. I like listening to music. Music really makes me happy. So I surrounded myself with music a lot back then, and even now, more so now. So she allows me to produce several programs on with music content. I enjoy that. But I'm trying to move away from it a little bit more now because as I grow old, I want to touch on some very serious topic in society. So I'm trying to branch out in that area slowly.
I appreciate it. So can you give us more details about some of the programs you produce and, how the program works, what someone can expect if they listen, what
Right.
interesting guests you've had, kind of give us the flavor of it. Give us the feel for one of these programs, man.
So I'm known for being someone with lots of energy. I've interviewed over 200 persons in my 10 years, maybe even more than 200 persons in a 10 years period. Lots of persons I've interviewed are artists from Jamaica, people from Trinidad, people from Australia, England, India, New Zealand, people from America, well, all of North America, Brazil, Suriname, Venezuela, all over the world using internet, and when they come to this country on different tours and trips and so forth. I've interviewed dozens or hundreds of persons with disabilities. I've interviewed ministers in the government over the years, ministers for various governments over the years, right here in Ghana within the 10 years period that I've been in the business. I've interviewed a lot of persons in the medical field. I've interviewed a lot of persons within the teaching sector as well, private sector, business, public sector. I've done a lot of interviews with the man in the streets. And that's one of the most fantastic experience I'd love to share. Doing interviews with persons in the street could be very, very frightening, very scary for someone who is totally blind. When it was thrown at me, I took it and I ran with it, even though lots of crazy things could have happened to me on the road. Everybody was running up and down in the heat and in the rain, getting things done, shopping. And there goes this blind guy with his cane in his hand and his device in his left hand with headset over his ears and mic to his mouth and running around in the crowd too with little to no assistance, getting interview done. At one time, a car almost reversed and licked me over. But I was very swift to bounce back when I felt the car coming toward me some more. But he still bumped into my leg, though, into my thigh, to be more specifically. But nothing significant happened. I just brushed it off and never really pay attention to it actually happening. But I went on, though. But going to my music programs, though, My music programs features reggae music entirely. It could be reggae music produced by artists around the world. It could be music. Another program also focuses on Caribbean music entirely. That's when you go into the music folder available to you in the system. You pick artists from all different Caribbean countries and you feature them. You do some background research on this person. For example, if you want to go and do an interview or produce a half-hour program on one of Guyana's number one artists who's been very successful in recent years, whose name is Adrian Dutchin. You're going to start the program and say, hello, Guyana, good morning, and welcome to yet another program of the Caribbean Music Box with me, Leroy Phillips. My audio engineer today is Ken Wilson, and together we'll be with you for the next half hour as we bring some entertainment right into your home, right into your vehicle, perhaps right into your ear as you jog down that road early this morning and get yourself in a fit, a fit shape, or get yourself rather fit to live a healthy life and those kind of things. And then you say, well, before I bring you the song by Adrian Dutchin, let's tell you that Adrian Dutchin was born on the 26th of April 1992, and he was born to mother this and father that. And you go on, he said, did you know that Adrian Dutchin at the age of 16 started to sing, but his teacher told him and even dragged him off the stage and said, hey boy, keep singing as a personal hobby, don't let it be public because you're horrible. And years later, he's now a well-renowned artist right here in the Caribbean. And the vibe is very high, Aaron and listeners, because I always have to reserve the energy to go into that studio to, be electrifying when I deliver the content of the program. And lots of person would call and say, oh, we're enjoying the energy, we're enjoying the vibes, because, you give people that opportunity to be lively. Lots of persons are at home, drowning in their own emotions and their sorrows and all these different things. And when you come on the radio with the vibes, it tends to transform their mood. So I enjoy, putting on that hat and getting all our beats to listeners at home.
I love hearing you talk. I love your voice. Your enthusiasm just shines right through, just seeps right through all the way to my end of the microphone, all the way on my side of the string. That's so good. That's so good, man. I love your personality. I love the passion, that energy level. That's what I want as a professional broadcaster. And that's someone that I want here at Aaron's Opinion. That's someone that I want in podcasting. The amount of love that you have for what you do. I had another guest just the other day who had this same thing, and I love it. I love guests who love who they are and love who they do and love what they do. And that's clearly who you are. You love it. And
you bring a lot of energy too, because they enjoy your energy.
I appreciate it. What energy do you enjoy?
Generally speaking?
Yes, I'm kind of being a little facetious and sarcastic, but yes, what energy, but now that I brought it up, what energy do you enjoy from me?
I like a lot of, like, when people tend to speak up loud and so on. I don't like people who are soft-spoken,
Right.
You're listening to the voice of Guyana, and today we are bringing you coverage of the emancipation ceremony taking place at the National Park. I don't like to hear that. I like to hear the vibes crank up. Well, listeners throughout the length and breadth of the beautiful nation Guyana, standing over here at the Kissing Bridge with the sun standing right over my head and the breeze, having the trees swaying from side to side, and the music is having me gyrate on the street, and I'm doing my dance style, and I'm clicking my fingers and raising my feet in the air, and you go on like that. I like to hear the energy. I don't like to hear, too quiet broadcasts.
Right, sure. It's interesting you bring it up, because actually I'm kind of a low energy person. I don't want to say low energy, but I'm more like I'm sure based on how well this is going, Leroy, I'm sure you've listened to one or two of my episodes before. I'm sure you kind of heard my name around the community a little bit, especially from, Mr. Wilbert and all of our great friends all over the Caribbean. But, I consider myself to be, I have a lot of energy and enthusiasm for the art of broadcasting, but I also am very stern. I'm more sterner and more serious. So I always like to hear someone who's really upbeat and really puts, that upbeat, love into
Right.
it. I love what I do. Don't even begin to get me wrong there. But still, I'm more firmer. I'm more serious, and you're more animated. And I love the animation, man. It's just so good. It's
Nice.
just so
No, but
good. Yeah.
it's not. I won't particularly turn my radio off if I hear people like you on the radio because I like to hear important content.
Right.
Because they bring you a real in-depth look at certain issues that are affecting persons with disabilities in society. Because I learned from you, and when I learn from you, I go on the radio and I talk about what I learned from you. You understand?
Yes, yes.
So I always
So
like to look for advancement.
that is good. That is good, man. So speaking of that, so what are some current issues and some current things that are going on Guyana that you want my audience here at Aaron's Opinion to be aware of? You are the first Guyanese affiliate or first Guyanese person to ever come to Aaron's Opinion. So most people around the world are not terribly familiar with Guyana. So
For
what's going
true.
on down there? What's going on?
Right, so we only have a population of 750, and we are 83,000 square meters big, right? We're known as the land of many waters, the land of wood and water there. But we have lots of crazy things happening here. Of course, the hottest topic right now is vaccine. Are you getting your vaccine? Have you been vaccinated? Well,
Indeed, I have. In fact, I have two doses of Pfizer. Oh yeah.
I envy you. I wanted Pfizer. In my country, Pfizer is not available for us. We have Sputnik V, Sinopharm, and we also have AstraZeneca. But yeah, vaccine is an issue in Guyana. We have all sorts of unanswered questions about the vaccine. Our government is hiding a lot of things from the people. A lot of people are anti-vaccine. Now they're requiring the workplaces to get their staff vaccinated, and if you're not vaccinated, you're fired. They give you a certain amount of time to get vaccinated. If you pass that time, you're not, then they will suspend your service, and there's nothing that could happen with that. You're out of a job, you'll get poor, you'll probably struggle. Yeah, so it's all happening here in Guyana. So that's how we're chucking it now. And you would think persons with disabilities are living good here. We're not. We are among the most marginalized people in this country, and we hardly get the light shining on us. We are hardly featured out there. Our issues are hardly highlighted, are hardly taken care of. So that's what's happening here in Guyana.
Okay. All right. And so, I mean, are you finding, are there any other blind people or people with disabilities who work with you at NCN at this
Yes,
moment?
Good question you're asking, actually. So at NCN, there's another person that works here. She is about 59 years old. She's been here for 36 years. She worked in this company for 36 years when it used to be GBC, Guyana Broadcasting Corporation. That's Julie Lewis, Lewis, Julie.
That's fine.
Lewis.
We can get her on the program let's get her on the program in a future episode. I'd love to talk to that person.
She would bring you better content than
Leroy, trust me, Leroy, you're doing fine. I love your personality and who you are, Leroy. So keep talking. I love hearing you talk. Let's go.
Right. Yeah, so
definitely.
Julie's gonna come on your program soon. You're gonna enjoy her thoroughly. She's well spoken, everything. You're really enjoy Julie. But yeah, that's what's happening here in Guyana, and I look forward to greater things happening for us as persons with disabilities. Because as an advocate, we are working endlessly, day in, day out, to make things right with us here in Guyana. But we're trying. We're getting somewhere.
Right. I think the first thing that needs to happen is that, and I mean, I know it's difficult, and it's not really fair in a philosophical sense, Leroy. It's not really fair for me to say this because I'm an American guy, but I think in my American mind, I would think that blind people in Guyana should try to go to university and get into the workforce. However, that is oftentimes very difficult, if not possible. In not just in Guyana, but in actually many countries around the world, it's becoming more and more difficult for people with disabilities to actively participate and serve their country. And this is a growing problem all over the Caribbean and really in any country. The other thing I think that people with disabilities should do is do what we're doing. Get into podcasting, get onto podcasts, create your own podcast. What I'm saying is get your voice out there, man. Get your voice into someone else's ears so that they can hear and learn from you. And I think that's a really important thing that would really help a lot of people in Guyana, certainly blind people or people with disabilities, but anyone. If you have a thought, create a podcast. Come and talk about
Yeah,
it because
yeah, I do want to do podcasting.
journalism will, well, not just you, Leroy. I know you can do it. I'm just saying, and I hope that you will. And I hope that this episode inspires you to get into podcasting. But I mean, I just think that more blind people need to just create their own podcast to share their
Yeah.
opinions with the world. Because you know why? It's important because it shows that we're here, right? If we're
Well,
talking right now, we have a voice. Yes, go ahead.
I'm glad. Sorry for
Go
interjecting.
right ahead.
I am actually partnering very soon with one of our ministries to do a broadcasting training program over a 3 months period next year. And, I'm glad I'm now in touch with you because during my 3 months training next year, I'll bring you on one of the Zoom calls to interact with the participants because I'm going to train at least 15 blind or visually impaired persons or any other persons with disabilities with a massive interest or any amount of interest in broadcasting, because that's one of the hot topics among the disability community of lately. We want to have our voices out there more. I said I want more broadcasters who are blind and visually impaired, have disabilities, so that we can be in people's ears like mosquitoes crying all the time about the issues that are affecting us, because they're hundreds of issues that are affecting us in this society. And I thought, you know what, being in the media is the best opportunity. Get into the media, talk all the time, and people will hear you somehow. So that's my objective, to work on getting more persons with disabilities within the broadcasting world.
I tell you what, let's work together on this issue. I never make a promise I can't keep. So the promise I can keep is that all of those people who are learning broadcasting, if any of them, and hopefully all of them, if they want to come here and they want to do a group episode with me here on Aaron's Opinion to celebrate what they're doing, they are
Mhm.
always 1,000 times over welcome here. So
Thank you.
don't forget it. Make sure that Aaron's Opinion is included in helping these people to get into broadcasting. I would love to help you with that. Absolutely,
Sure,
yes. Yeah, yeah.
sure.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. I think that a lot of blind people are actually intimidated to get into broadcasting. You don't need much. What you need is your opinions and a microphone, and then everything
Yes,
else will, fall into place. You do need to
I
learn
agree
how
with
to.
you.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, yeah.
No, I was saying I agree with you. You just need your opinion and a microphone, and that's basically what I do most of the time. With the addition of doing research and a few investigations and so forth. But you really just need your opinion and a microphone.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Definitely. Very good. And how in other news and in other things, so where have you traveled outside of Guyana? You've said you've done some traveling overseas.
Yeah, fortunately, I've traveled to Barbados. I can talk like them too. I like going to Barbados. Those people are beautiful. Yeah. So I've been to Barbados. I've been to Trinidad and Tobago. I love Trinidad and Barbados, actually. I've been to St. Lucia,
I love,
Suriname.
and you know what? I love St. Lucia. I volunteered there for 6 weeks. Hmm.
Wow. I've been to
Yeah.
I've been to Brazil. I've been to Jamaica. Think about Jamaica. I've spent about 2 weeks in Jamaica, so that was wonderful. I've only transited in Antigua before, Antigua and Barbuda. Then I traveled to the United States all the time. I've gone to the United States way too many times. Um, I've traveled many states in the States as well. I've been to Belgium, I've been to Ireland, the Netherlands, I've been to the United Kingdom. I'll come back to tell you why I was in the United Kingdom, which will really send you back flicking over that chair in your office there. I've been, I've been to, I've been to Malta. I've been to Malta, and before I got invited to Malta in 2015 November, I never knew that there's a country called Malta. They're in the Mediterranean Sea. I've been to a lot of countries, France and Germany and those places. But going back to the UK though, the UK is like the highlight of my life when I'm a former president of the Young Voices Guyana, Leonard Cheshire Disability. That's an international body based in the UK, and it has chapters called Young Voices around the world. So I was once president for my chapter, and in 2014, the Queen Elizabeth the second launched a program called the Queen's Young Leader Award, and they basically search for persons who are leading change in their community across the Commonwealth. And it so turned out to be that they found me on the internet. They sent my organization an email saying, we're looking for a young leader creating change in his and her world or corner of the globe. And they said, well, our best nominee is Leroy. And then they called me on the 7th, I think it was, of January 2015 to announce that this British woman called Leroy, I'm going to announce you are one of the winner of the Queen's Young Leader Award 2015. I'm like, really? And she said, yes, you're going to get to come to the Buckingham Palace and St. James's Palace to meet the Queen and royal member of the family there. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. This is not happening. She's like, yes, you won the award, Leroy. Get ready. It's going to be a riveting experience. And since January 2015, I was preparing for London in June that year. So I went to the United Kingdom in June, met Her Highness Queen Elizabeth II at Buckingham Palace. We got the chance to hang out, drink champagne, and all these things together. We got the chance to exchange words. She asked me what I do, how long I do, who it targets, and all these different things. And yeah, enjoy our time in the United Kingdom. Got a chance to meet David Beckham and all these different guys. It was such a remarkable, rewarding.
Wow. I've been podcasting for a couple years. I've never spoken to anyone who's met the Queen. So I believe you. So you really got to talk to her and you really got to ask her questions.
Yes, you couldn't talk long with her though. It was just one question or two, but she did get to ask us questions and so forth. But it was wonderful.
More interestingly, what if you did ask a question of the Queen? What question did you ask her?
Well, I wouldn't tell you a lie. I don't remember what I was asking her because let me tell you, to step in that palace, the amount of security checks you had to go through, the amount of briefing, we were briefed about going to the palace, particularly stepping foot into the palace's compound. We were being briefed at least 3 months before we got to the United Kingdom about meeting the Queen, how to refer to her, what to do, what not to do, how to do it, why to say it, why to do it, all these different things. It was such an incredible, it's as though you were preparing to be a part of the filming of Black Panther. You understand? It was terrific. It was unbelievable at the Buckingham Palace when you got there. So when people got there, people hardly even remember what she said because they were so living in the clouds. They were in Club 9. They couldn't come back down to earth to feel what the ground feels like when they got to the Queen. I heard person almost fainted when they meet the Queen. My aunt almost fainted when she met the Queen, in addition to falling over her tall heels. It was such a crazy moment. I sat there or stand there waiting in line for my name to be called, and the guy who was on that speaker calling the name, he sounded as though he was like really in one of those ancient movies, and they call your name, Leroy Phillips from Georgetown, Guyana. You're next to receive your award from the Queen, Her Majesty. And the way they did it, man, it was so surreal. We couldn't believe it. I really don't remember what I asked her, but I know we did speak for at least a minute and a half.
Wow. That's amazing. That's spectacular. Okay, well, do you at least remember what she asked you?
Yeah, I did remember what she asked me.
That's okay. Let's go with that. So what did she ask you?
Yeah, so she said, hello, Leroy, congratulations. That's what she said right away. And she said, tell me, what do you do? What do you do back in Guyana? And I briefly told her what I do in Guyana. She said, how long you been doing it for? And I told her the amount of years that I've been doing it for, which was pretty short, just under 4 years. And she said, well, you continue doing what you do, and hopefully changes will continue to be created in a great way to make persons better. And this something she went on to say, and then she said, take care. I will catch you for the remainder of your trip here.
Wow.
She was wonderful.
That's amazing. That's really cool. Yeah, you remember those types of things for the rest. That's a story for the rest of your life. The day you met. The day you met the queen. Yes.
Yes,
Yes, that's cool. That's cool.
that is
That's
cool.
that's amazing. That's amazing. Okay. And what other I mean, England outside of Buckingham Palace, England is just a wonderful place to be. So what other great things did you do in England?
Well, I did get a chance to go and watch cricket in England because I'm a huge cricket fan. So
Oh, sure.
I did get to see some county cricket. We did get to tour some interesting places. I don't remember. One place I remember though is the BT Tower. The BT Tower. Never gone to it before in my life, obviously. This tower, they said only the rich and famous. I remember the tour guide, the person doing the tour guide told us, look, guys, this place that you're about to go in, um, only the rich, and he said in emphasis, the extremely rich and wealthy and famous people access this facility. And you guys going up into it should really take this moment in for a lifetime. When we got up to this building, I can't remember what the journey was like up to this building, but my most memorable moment to milk for the rest of my life is when I got to the top of that building. The news they broke to me and have me experience was mind-boggling. The guy came and told me, Leroy, you're standing at the top of the BT Tower. The outer skirts of the building is spinning. I'm like, you're kidding me, right? He said, no. The building spins. The outer surface of the building spins entirely around the middle portion of the building. So it's simple. When you go out into the veranda of the building to see the around England, that part of the building is literally spinning around. So if you put one leg there and the other leg over the other side of the building, which is right there, is just wide and open, no creases to fall through, the building is spinning. Your foot is literally running away and leave you slowly. And if you stand there all the time, you can tear your legs apart. And I literally stand on both sides of the building and did splits. I'm like, wow, who created this building? It was just incredible in the greatest sense that I can't even explain. That will stick with me forever, the BT Tower experience.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, there's a lot of famous towers, all over the United States, that are very iconic. Okay, and what did you think of the food in England? The food in England is wonderful.
Well, it is. I am a foodie person, by the way, so I tend to eat a whole lot of food when I travel. So I love the food in the UK, and the United Kingdom is actually one of my favorite, if not the most favorite place in the world. Even though I get to come to America more often, but United Kingdom is my favorite place in the world. I would like to say, but definitely, I love the foods in United Kingdom.
So good. So good. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, and I mean, another thing is, what can you tell our listeners about some of the history of Guyana? Because much of the world doesn't really know much about your great nation. So, what are some interesting things you can tell us about the history of your country, Guyana?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm not a very big historian. Very short memory. I know Guyana is a very small but big place. Very small population, as I said earlier, 750,000 people. It's literally the size of a person you'll perhaps find in an airport in New York, maybe New York airport. That's how small our population is. We can fit all of us in one airport. Even though we're 83,000 square miles big. We are a country of 6 people, 6 races. We have the Indians, the Chinese, the Amerindians, the Africans, the Black, and somebody else I'm missing out. But we're a country of 6 people. That's one of the things that stands out for us. We are very hospitable people, I can tell you that for sure. We tend to treat people better than people treat us when we travel. So people always like come to Guyana because of the hospitable treatment. I also said it has 10 regions, like how you have 10 states, well, not 10 states rather. How many states do you guys have in America? 51 or 52?
50.
Right, 50 states, because I think Washington, D.C. is a district, right? Right, so we have 10 administrative regions, and people live in all of them. some are hardly populated than the others. But yeah, we have 10 regions. We have 3 counties, Berbice, Essequibo, Berbice, and Demerara, rather. And people are heavily populated in Demerara, because that's where the capital city is, Georgetown. A lot of slaves moved from India and other parts of the world to come to Guyana and develop the place here. So yeah, we were built on this on the back of the slaves and so forth. So that's basically as much as I can give you on the history of Guyana. Wonderful place. We were once ruled by the Queen. I must tell you that we were once ruled by the Queen, and we gained our independence on the 26th of May, 1966. That's when we parted with the British monarchy.
Sure. It's really, really fascinating. So you mentioned how there's a lot of groups of people living in Guyana. So before English, what languages did most Guyanese people speak? By the way,
Creole. We speak Creole Guyanese, which is very bad broken up English. We talk that, you can't understand us.
Okay, so if you spoke because I'm also a French speaker, by the way. So French is my second language. So I appreciate being able to speak more than one language. Can you give me a couple good sentences that illustrate Creole with your Guyanese enthusiasm too? Really illustrate some Creole for me so I can hear the beauty of the language.
Hey Aaron, boy, when I done this interview, so I gone downstairs by the studio side and bus a line with my friends them and enjoy myself, get a little high and get myself a little blister up and then go on and enjoy myself. Understand? Beat myself good, hang out with the boys and go on the streets and everything though, you understand? I look after myself, then lie in my bed, fall to sleep and everything, wake up, chill, prepare for work and then beat out, come back here, so bravo, start all over again.
Right. Yeah. I got a lot of it. So it's like it's a Creole. It's your own kind of Guyanese English, kind of like that.
Yes.
Yeah. See, but that's interesting because as you know from my podcast, I have many great friends from Jamaica, and when they speak their Jamaican Creole, their Jamaican language, I can't understand it. Like I understand even less of it. They have their own vocab that they can interject into it too. So it's very interesting. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It is.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely people in different parts in each country in the Caribbean definitely have their own accent, their own expressions, their own ways of talking for sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Definitely. That's really, really good. And so what are some countries that you hope to travel to in the future?
Well, I do hope to go to Russia. I do want to go to Russia for sure. I also would love to spend some time in Norway. I always wanted to go to Norway. So I hope that opportunity will come sometime soon. But yeah, any country I've never been to before, I'd like to go, but not the ones that crimes, are very high and dangerous, like the Afghanistan, Iraq area, Israel and Pakistan and those places. But I've also been to India, so no big deal.
Right. Cool. Okay. And what are your hobbies when you are not doing all this great work for NCN and things like that?
I lime a lot. I hang out a lot with friends. I hang quite a lot with friends and we drink a lot of alcohol. I also play cricket. I play blind cricket, which has also been introduced to the United States of America in the last year or so. So you'll probably find out about it rather soon. But yeah, that's basically what I do. I listen to a lot of audiobooks as well.
And so what questions do you have here for Aaron Richmond and Aaron's opinion? So the first thing that I was wondering, I've said it before, your name always kind of rang a bell. So had you heard of me before? Had you ever heard of an Aaron Richmond before?
I think I must have come across your name on a Facebook page. I have lots of American blind and vision impaired friends, so I might have come across your name before. It doesn't sound strange to my ear. That's what I can tell you for sure.
Well, interesting. Okay. So yeah. What would you like to learn from me and what would you like to learn and know and ask about me and my life and who I am?
Yeah. So you teach, how long have you been teaching for?
I've been teaching for 6 years.
What brought you into the field of teaching? What motivated you?
Well, I had been given a lot of opportunities to teach people while I was in university. And each time I taught someone, I loved it and enjoyed it more and more. So from there, I discovered that actually I'm a teacher. And I also discovered that I have a lot of opinions. And then over time, I turned the opinions into recordings that became this podcast. So that's how we got all the way to here.
What did you major in at the
I
university?
studied international relations. And
Oh.
I wish that I had studied broadcasting, but if I had, I probably wouldn't be broadcasting. We study one thing and then we work in another. So that's a
Does that
very
mean does that mean you're not doing anything IR related?
that does mean that, but I would say that I'm very interested in what goes on around the world, and my interest in IR has helped me to maintain rapport and understanding of people from other nations, all the nations of our planet. So I think that's a really important fact, that I'm someone who's very interested in your life and the lives of all people around the world. So yeah,
Exciting.
it is. It is. Yeah, yeah. How often do you go to St. Lucia?
Not often, all my trips, I've only went on one trip that I spent my own money on, and that was vacation in 2018 in America. Um, Other than that, all my trips that I've ever been to were fully sponsored by organizations here and abroad.
Interesting. And when you were in the United States, where did you go?
Right. So I don't remember the buildings, but I've been to a lot of popular sites and so forth because there's this organization called the Global Sports Mentorship Program, GSMP, Global Sports Mentorship Program. It's based in Knoxville, Tennessee, at that university there. And they invited me on a sports program that the embassy here in Georgetown awarded me with. They train disabled persons in sports around the world. 20 of them are 18 yearly, at the end and beginning of the year. And I was one. And then when you go, there's a very compact 35 days program. And they took me to about 12 states in America. I don't remember all of them, but I've been to Kentucky. I've been to that's Louisville, Kentucky. I've been to DC. I've been to New York. I've been to New Jersey. I've been to Texas. I've been to Knoxville, of course. I've been to Atlanta. I have been to Maryland and quite a few other states I've traveled to. And I was really thankful for that trip in 2018 to have gone to all those states in America. Never thought I would have gone there before.
So good. You mentioned earlier that you do a lot with sports. Can you expand on it a little bit and tell us more about the different athletic experiences you've had?
So I ran a fair bit. But we don't have a very good infrastructure for sports here in the Caribbean for PWDs or persons with disabilities. So that was short-lived. Even with blind cricket, we had our best moments with blind cricket, but even that is dwindling now due to some internal affairs and so forth. But I play a lot of domino here in Guyana, and I swam a little bit. But again, we don't have the support mechanism in this country to go beyond the baby stages of involvement in sports.
Yeah, I've interviewed several people who participated. One person in particular who participated in the Paralympics.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. So there are blind people and people with disabilities who do participate in the Olympics. So do you think Guyana sent a large delegation to the Olympics in Tokyo?
I don't think they did. I'll be honest with you. I did not follow it, period. Whatever I probably knew, I barely overheard it passing people on the road and so on. But I'm not sure. But I don't think they did. I know they did send a few persons, but how large or small, I'm unaware.
I see. That is fine. And what is like what is Guyana's number one? It's easy to mix those two up. You're right. It is easy to mix that up. What are Guyana's number one sport that they play competitively?
That's difficult to say, but between soccer/football and cricket, I think it would be football or soccer. Yeah, it would be football.
Yeah,
it would be football.
Are there a lot of professional football teams there in Guyana?
Lots of professional football teams here in Guyana. They love their football. They play football in the street ever so often. We don't play cricket as much though, but they do play cricket in the streets, but not as much as they play their football, Aaron. It's widely played.
I see. That's really, really good. That's really excellent. And outside of all of that, what are some of your favorite? Oh, I've never asked a Guyanese person this. What is a famous food or your favorite dish to eat as far as a meal? What's your favorite Guyanese meal?
We have something called cook up, and you can't ask me a follow-up question to that because I am not a cook and I can't tell you how they make cook up. I just know that they make it with a coconut. They grate the coconut and they squeeze the milk from the coconut into the boiled rice. They put all sorts of things inside of the rice. Like I really don't know, but they put all sorts of things in the rice to make it nice, and it comes out really good. But they call it cook up. Cook up could carry all the meats inside. It could carry chicken. It could carry fish, beef, pork, chounce, or any vegetarian meat. It could carry pigtail. It could carry anything inside. That's why they call it cook up. Cook up is known for being a mix-up food.
Yeah, so it's rice and meat with some coconut milk all stirred and spiced together.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really, really excellent.
You would love our food.
Well, actually, if truth be told, I'll love any food. Yeah, so there's no meal that I will not love, you see. Mm-hmm.
You're like me.
Well, good. I see. Yeah, so I mean, right now, are you living in Georgetown, in the capital?
I am living in the capital city, and where I work is just 10 minutes drive away from home.
Oh, okay. So now how do you go from your home to work, by the way?
Taxi or a minibus.
Okay. So then Georgetown is pretty built up then if they have taxis driving around, right?
Yeah, it's pretty built up. It's where most of the persons in the country live.
Okay. So in other words, most of the activity in Guyana revolves around Georgetown. In other words, Georgetown is
the government, basically.
Right. And then everyone else lives in towns around the country.
Scattered.
All scattered around. Right. Yeah. So if you're living out there in the countryside, like how long would it take someone to drive from their country town all the way to Georgetown?
It depends because the capital city is so condensed with people. To go out of the city could take a long drive, and to get deep into the countryside could take you hours.
I see. So it could be several hours away.
Indeed.
I see.
Several hours indeed.
I see. And so how many hours are you actually working in the radio in NCN, each day on a daily basis?
So it's a 9-to-5 job, but because I'm doing university and other disciplines, I call this my office, even though I share it with 5 other colleagues. I still call it my office because I use it most of the time. I'm supposed to leave work at 5, but nobody throws you out if you don't leave. So I'm here till 10 in the night, sometimes till 9, doing extra work for them or myself or university work and so on. I don't get the peace and quiet at home to do university work. So I stay here and do it, then go home.
Okay. And so how can someone overseas listen to NCN and tune into these radio stations in your country? Where can someone find the stations and learn more about? Mm-hmm.
They can go to ncnguyana.com. That's ncnguyana.com. And then the rest is simple. They'll just have to click on the link that shows radio stations, and they can select the one that says The Voice of Guyana or VOG.
Right. I see. That's really good. So do you broadcast on any other station, or are you only on Voice of Guyana?
I only broadcast predominantly on the Voice of Guyana, but if there's a need to go on any other station, I will go, but it's also rare in the extreme sense.
Right. Sure. I see. And so are your stations in Guyana, are they all internet stations, online stations, or do they still use some terrestrial radio?
Lots of them are online, but we have internet issue in this country that we're still learning to develop. So I guess in the coming years, we'll be better off. But for now, you can still find us on the internet, but we jump on and off steady.
I see. So the stations are on 24 hours a day, but sometimes they go in and out depending on the the internet signal and things like that.
Indeed.
Yeah, that's a big problem. There's a lot of radio stations all over the Caribbean. It's quite a common activity to listen to the radio. So yeah.
Yep, indeed.
Well, very good. Very, very good. So, let me just say that it's been a real pleasure interviewing you today. You did a magnificent job. So what are some I really appreciate you coming in today, because this is the art of podcasting. You say when we started you were a little nervous. You said you only had 30 minutes, but let me actually tell you, we've been speaking for nearly an hour. I actually have 5 minutes left. So in these 5 minutes, I know you were a little shy at first, but it didn't last. You did a magnificent interview. So I always love to ask guests, if you could only ask me only one question to see if I'm really worth my salt, to really make me sweat as a podcaster, what do you really want to know about me?
What do you don't like about yourself most that you'd like to improve on, but it's difficult to work on?
What I don't like about myself, I love that. I love that question. What I dislike about myself is that I need to work on finding other ways of approaching people and continuing to improve on being comfortable talking to people. That actually, I'm a very introverted and shy person. So sometimes when I talk to people at first, sometimes I'm a little shy or a little abrupt until we really get into a full interview and then I fully understand the story. So yeah, and then of course that's such a good question. I have to flip it around. What's the thing that you would like to change most about yourself?
Interesting.
Well, you brought it up. That means you have an answer.
I know. I would like to be less playful. I can get too playful and don't realize it because I like to keep myself happy. There was one time in my life I hardly smiled because I didn't have anything to smile for. At least that's what I thought, but I was wrong because I discovered I had lots to smile for. Because persons would tell, I never see you smile. And I'm like, do I have to smile while walking the road? Do I have to smile if I just come out my bed? I'm like, I will smile if there's something to smile. And then that struck me since. And since that day onward, I found it necessary to smile in spite of any challenges in my life.
It's a really good answer. And I don't think you're too playful at all. I love your Guyanese accent. I love your Guyanese personality. And it's the personality that I love here at Aaron's Opinion. Someone who cares. You're a kind person. You care. You work hard. You're successful. You love to talk to people. You're the type of correspondent we need right here at Aaron's Opinion. So we have people all over the world who are going to love to talk to you in the WhatsApp group in a minute. But yeah, that's all a really good answer. So, why don't we walk out with some music? I mean, I got to put you on the spot a little tiny bit. Could you sing for us? You do not have to, by the way. Could you sing the Guyanese national anthem? I've never heard it before.
Well, if I remember it well, I'll just give you a little clip of it. Dear land of Guyana, of rivers and plain, marine by the sunshine and lushed by the rain, sage and be great mothers. Yes, I don't remember all the words, but that's as best as I can do.
Okay. Well, that is still very, 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 very beautiful.
But the interesting thing about it though, Aaron,
yes.
Not me alone, I've heard it from thousands of people or lots of persons that will have said this before. They don't remember the national anthem if they have to do it like how you asked me to. But if we hear that national anthem, you would think we were the ones who wrote the lyrics.
Yeah, because you associate more the fact that song belongs to the Guyanese people more than you actually remember the words behind the anthem. You respect the concept of anthem. Of course you do. Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
So I don't remember it if I have to do it like this, but if you play, I will sing it properly.
Oh, well, that's fine because you know what? I don't really remember the words either. So,
but it's been a pleasure being here.
It really has. You are always welcome here at Aaron's Opinion. Thank you so much, Leroy Phillips. Have a great evening. All right.
Thank you.